Hello there, everyone. Welcome to r/nuclear revenge, where the revenge may have gotten a little bit out of control, but I'll be damned if it doesn't feel wonderful. If you enjoyed today's stories, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and let's get started, shall we? Kill my cat? Well, you're gonna get smashed. This is a story from my childhood. I lived in a small suburban neighborhood in the 90s. We had two dachshunds we kept in a backyard fence, and three cats that roamed our eighth of an acre corner lot in our subdivision. Of three cats, Magic was the matriarch. She was a big old fat black cat that didn't really run from any neighborhood cats or dogs. Our neighbors across the street had a pit bull. They would let roam the neighborhood. It was never aggressive towards me or my friends, but it was not a friendly dog. We just stayed away from it when playing in the woods. One day, the pit bull charged my cat while I was in the yard playing. It began to whip its head back and forth, shaking Magic. I ran to get my dad. We didn't have a gun for home defense. My dad kept a 4-foot long, galvanized steel rod that was about an inch thick next to the door, though. I've never seen him move that fast. He was on that dog in about 5 seconds flat. I remember seeing him strike the dog probably 3 times before it let go of Magic. My dad said, "Come here, Doxy. We're going to the neighbor's house." He was pissed, shaking. When I got closer, I could see that the dog's skull was completely smashed. You could see blood and gray matter. It was gnarly. Its eye socket was also smashed. He picked up the dead dog, walked with me to the owner's house. The man answered the door and said, "What did you do to my dog?" And my dad said, "The same goddamn thing I'm going to do to you if this happens to one of my kids." They never got another dog, and we never saw that family again. They moved out about a year later. This happened to a good friend of mine. The neighbor's shitty dog killed his beloved cat right in front of him. The neighbor's response was, "Yeah, but what are you gonna do?" Dog laws are very lax there. I would have told him, "If your dog sets foot on my property again, it's dead." Now on to the next story. Decline to pay me after I help you pass your exam? Well, have fun getting deported. So this happened a couple years ago during COVID when everything was online. A mutual friend, let's call him D, reached out to me absolutely desperate. He was on the verge of getting deported because he had already failed his coding exam twice. One more failure and he wouldn't be able to stay in the country. He knew I was good at coding and begged me to take the exam for him. He told me how his entire future depended on it, how he had no options left, and so on. Feeling a little bit sorry for him, I agreed, on the condition he would pay me $500 for doing so. He agreed immediately, so I spent a couple weeks preparing. The exam was proctored over Zoom, and we set it up so I could control his computer remotely while he pretended to take the exam himself. We pulled it off without a hitch, and he passed the exam. Afterwards, we went out for drinks to celebrate. Each paid their own because I didn't want him deducting anything from what he owed me. Here's where things went downhill. He gave me $100 up front and promised to pay the remaining $400 in a couple of weeks after we sorted out his graduation stuff. Weeks turned into months, and he kept dodging me with excuses. After 6 months of this, it became clear he wasn't going to pay me back. I gave him multiple warnings to pay me or I'll report him, but he kept taking it not seriously and blocked me. I was pissed. I helped him out, and he completely ghosted me after getting what he wanted. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. Firstly, I reported him to his university for academic misconduct. I explained in detail how I was the one who took his exam for him, and provided evidence to back it up. They investigated and failed him retroactively, which meant he couldn't graduate. Since his visa was tied to his student status, this basically screwed him over completely. Some context. It was an anonymous tip off to the college with a fake email with all the proof. They called him and gave him the chance to retake the exam on the spot, but that guy never studied and failed at the most basic stuff. But no, it didn't end there. He was still living in the country illegally, hoping to somehow fix things. I knew he had no way out, so I anonymously tipped off the authorities, saying there was an illegal immigrant involved in suspicious activity, living in my area. They came, found out he was living there illegally, and he got deported. Context. As for deport, I felt a bit scared, in case he tried to hurt me in some way, so I made sure he never set foot in there again. Now, some mutual friends are saying I went too far, that it was a petty move to ruin his entire life over $400. On one hand, I feel like he deserved it for trying to scam me. I wouldn't have minded if he came clean saying he doesn't have money or financial capacity to pay me, and he was sorry. I would have let matters go without a hitch if he did that. Now, someone in the comments says, "It's not about the money, Spider-Man. It's about sending a message." Now on to the next story. I hunted down my credit card thieves. This is a cross post recommended several times in Petty Revenge. I'll delete if it's not allowed. Yesterday morning I received an email notification from my credit card company stating a transaction for $1,500 at MedSpa was declined, and another saying it was approved. I immediately called said credit card company to report the fraudulent charge. Turns out my card had fraudulent charges over the past 3 weeks, with purchases including various hotels in my areas, eBay, gas stations, self-storage, and moving truck rental. I rarely use this card. The last time I used it was in person, was in February, and last online purchase was in 2023. Fortunately, my credit card company flagged all the recent charges and closed my card. This morning, my significant other had a doctor's appointment in the same city as a hotel purchase made yesterday. After the doctor, the boyfriend asked me what I thought we should do today. I said, "Well, you wanted to shop for some new shoes, or we can swing by the hotel up the street and see if the credit card thieves are still there." The amount seemed like it would cover 2 or 3 days, so boyfriend and I go up to the hotel to see if the people were still checked in, and to let them know the card was stolen and the charges would be reversed. The front desk lady was pissed. She was able to find the reservation by card number, and noted that the person had kept changing cards to pay for the room. Of course, they didn't tell me the room number, much to my boyfriend's dismay. I called the credit card company and they asked me to call the police. I called the sheriff's department and they arrived within 20 minutes. I was surprised they even came. I gave them my report, my ID, and credit card. The deputy asked if I wanted to prosecute and I said yes. They then went inside and spoke to the front desk, who reported them to the invoice. Boyfriend and I waited outside in front of the lobby. Then, through the automatic sliding doors, I hear the front lady desk say, "That's him! He's trying to leave!" The light Hispanic dude with a bull terrier and several bags get placed in cuffs. He gets brought outside, searched, and the doggo gets cuffed to a trash can. Then another little Asian guy gets brought out in cuffs. A third deputy arrives and brings out a fancy Asian lady with a face full of fillers, 2 suitcases, and a Coach backpack. 4 officers start going through their backpacks on the hood of their car. We see passports, IDs, credit cards. They pull out a big credit card printing machine and a laptop. Then they pull out a big Ziploc filled with crystal meth, and the cop exclaims, "Here we go," and turns towards us and flashes a smile. 2 of them go back to search the hotel room and bring down 2 bags with more drugs, a scale, 4 car keys, and a big wad of cash. Unfortunately, none of the cars were in the parking lot, and the perp said they had been traveling by Uber. The cops contacted one of the thieves' friends to pick up the dogs, who arrived pretty quickly. It was an older Asian dude with tattoos, flashy jewelry, and an old luxury SUV. Don't worry, we got his pics and license plate. All these guys seem like characters out of The Brother's Son. The deputies then gave me all the paperwork and told me one of the guys said they stole my card off the internet. I would have guessed that they used a scanner while I was at a fair a few weeks ago. I found that so weird because I haven't used my card online in almost a year. Apparently they made a physical card that had a different name on it. Anywho, I walk inside to give the front desk a copy of the incident number, and then I remembered something else. I remember seeing another transaction for a storage unit that was made yesterday, and 2 charges at a rental truck company. I go outside and talk to the sheriff and asked him if he wanted me to try and figure out where that was. I was able to track down the storage location to a city about 15 minutes away, but no can do on the trucks. I called the storage place and they confirmed the payment was made with my card, but would not give me the unit number. From there, the sheriff said that it was out of their jurisdiction and they would try to get a search warrant, but that might take a while. However, it might be helpful if I made a police report of the other city. So with nothing better to do, I drove my butt over there and made another police report regarding the storage unit. That's all for now. We'll update if anything else happens. In the meantime, I called up the credit bureau to freeze my social security number, to tell my dog to be on alert and load magazines. Any other suggestions? Also, Copper asked if I wanted to prosecute, but that was before the drug bust, so do I need a lawyer? Thanks in advance. Someone in the comments says you do not need a lawyer. Your lawyer is the prosecutor. I mean, they aren't your personal attorneys, but they're prosecuting the crimes on behalf of the state. If they chose to prosecute, and they will, it's highly likely those people will take a deal. But if it goes to trial, you will be called as a witness. That is it. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. I will see you all next time. Bye bye.